Okay, let's talk about something that feels like a huge contradiction in college admissions right now. We keep hearing that there are fewer students on the way, but at the same time, getting into a top school feels more impossible than ever. So what is actually going on? Let's dive in and break it down.
This is the big question, right? For years, we've all been hearing about this demographic cliff coming for higher education, fewer college-age students. So basic supply and demand would tell you that it should be getting easier to get into college. But for so many people, the reality feels like the exact opposite. So why?
Well, the answer isn't just one single thing. It's more like a perfect storm. Four massive forces are all crashing into each other at the same time, and it's creating this crazy, turbulent new reality for anyone applying to college. We're going to walk through each one of these forces one by one.
So first up, let's just look at the raw numbers, because this is where the story starts to get really strange. We've got two trends that seem to completely contradict each other, happening at the exact same moment.
So what even is this demographic cliff everyone talks about? It's actually pretty simple. After the financial crisis back in 2008, birth rates in the U.S. took a nosedive. Fast forward to today, and those kids are now high school seniors. That means the entire pool of traditional college applicants is starting to shrink.
And we're not talking about a little dip here. This is a massive drop. We're looking at an estimated 400,000 fewer high school graduates in 2029 compared to just last year. That is a huge number of empty seats that colleges need to fill. Okay, so far it all adds up, right? Fewer students, more spots available. But then
we see this. The Common App just reported that for this current admissions cycle, the total number of applications actually went up by 6%. So how is that possible? More applications coming from a smaller group of students. The key here is that this isn't happening everywhere. The competition is getting funneled into very specific places.
And this slide right here shows that great divide perfectly. You've got two totally different worlds. On one side, you have the less selective colleges, especially smaller private schools that are really struggling to fill their classes. Some are even merging or closing down. But on the other side, the most selective, big-name schools are drowning in a flood of applications, which is pushing their acceptance rates down to historic single-digit lows. It's this huge widening gap between the haves and the have-nots of higher ed.
So why is this happening? That brings us to our second major force, money. The unbelievable cost of college is making students and their families think completely differently about this process. And it explains a lot about why everyone's applying to so many schools.
Just look at these sticker prices for 2025. Your average in-state public university is about $9 grand. Go out of state, and that more than doubles. And then you have private schools, averaging a jaw-dropping $30,000 a year. And that's before you even think about room and board. These numbers are just shocking. But here's the thing. This quote is so important. Almost nobody actually pays that full sticker price. The number that really truly matters is the net price. That's what you pay after all the grants and scholarships are factored in.
And financial aid completely changes the game. As you can see from this table, the amount of help you get can vary wildly based on your family's income. This financial reality is what's pushing more and more students to apply to those top public universities, especially in the South, that are seen as a great value, a great education, and good job prospects for a much lower net cost.
Okay, so we have a shrinking pool of students who are all applying to more schools mostly because of the cost. Our third force is all about how colleges are even trying to sort through this giant pile of applications. The rules for how you're evaluated are literally changing right under our feet.
First, let's talk tests. Yeah, we all saw the headlines about schools like Dartmouth and Yale bringing back SAT and ACT requirements. But the bigger picture, as this chart shows, is that the overwhelming majority of colleges are still test optional. This definitely encourages more students to apply, but it also creates a ton of confusion. Should I submit my scores or not?
So with tests being less of a factor, what are students relying on? Rankings. This stat from a Cornell study is just staggering. More than half of high-achieving students simply go to the highest-ranked school that lets them in. It just goes to show you the incredible power that lists like the U.S. News & World Report have in shaping these huge life decisions.
And at the same time, behind the scenes, there's a brand new player in the game, artificial intelligence. Now, it's not like robots are reading your personal essays, at least not yet. Right now, colleges are using AI for things like answering basic questions with chatbots, sorting through thousands of transcripts to calculate GPAs, and building models to help them recruit the exact students they're looking for. It makes things more efficient for them, but for applicants, it's just another layer of complexity to deal with.
And all of that brings us to our fourth and final force. And honestly, this might be the most important one of all: the immense human pressure that this whole process puts on students.
This quote from two of the leading voices in college admissions really just says it all. The combination of insane competition, financial stress, and constantly moving goalposts, it's taking a serious toll.
There's this constant feeling among students that no matter what they do, it's just not enough to stand out from the crowd. This pressure to build the absolute perfect resume when you're competing against a sea of other amazing applicants is having a direct and really negative impact on their mental health.
So, what's the solution here? What's the path forward? Well, experts are really pushing for a huge shift in mindset. Instead of just trying to play the game, the advice is to focus on what actually matters: real, authentic growth and getting to know yourself. Find your true passions, look past the superficial brand name of a school, and just remember that the goal of college isn't just getting in. It's a place to learn, to grow, to mess up, and to figure out who you really want to become.
So there you have it: the demographic cliff, the crazy economics of tuition, the ever-changing metrics, and the very real human cost. These four forces are all colliding to create this new admissions landscape where, frankly, the old playbook just doesn't work anymore.
Which leaves all of us with one final question to think about. In this hyper-competitive, super confusing new world, maybe we need to completely redefine what success looks like. Maybe the ultimate goal isn't really about getting into this single best school, but about finding the one school where you can truly become your best.